I ask you a simple question. Could you do their job? Would you do their job? They're certainly not doing it for £28,000 a year. Can we really doubt their service to the public? Mr. President, distinguished guests, it's my privilege to address this House tonight. Let's get the Irish thing out the way. I'm a Scouser. Obviously, I've got Irish blood. Okay. Right. As His Majesty's Chief Inspector Constabulary, I'm appointed by the Crown. I am independent of government and independent of policing. So basically, I can say what I want, and I do. I hold the government and policing to account for the delivery of policing. And I ask the questions that I believe the public wants answered. So to this question, do the police serve the public? I will only speak of British policing. It is a valid question. There are strong arguments. And I agree with a number of things that Leroy has said tonight. And I stand before you acutely aware of the challenges facing policing. I have been vocal about where they need to improve. I understand why some of you may feel that the police no longer serve you. And we cannot ignore the sobering reality that in the recent past, it's been too easy to join and stay in the police, which has resulted in serving officers committing horrific crimes. And we cannot ignore that too many local communities feel that the police do not focus on the issues that matter to them, like antisocial behaviour and local crime. And we cannot ignore either that the police are too often getting the basics wrong, and too many victims are being let down. But the British Police Service, as an institution, is an institution that we as citizens should be rightly proud of. I am confident that I'm stood on the right side of this debate. The police are here to serve the public. I'll stand my arguments on three pillars. Firstly, the British model of policing is rooted in public service. Secondly, the policing workforce are dedicated and brave. And thirdly, the police make an immeasurable difference in keeping our communities safe. The British model of policing is rooted in public service. It's not only fundamentally sound, but in my view, it is the best in the world. Why? There are three separate elements. Firstly, policing by consent. Secondly, operational independence. And thirdly, the office of Constable. Policing by consent recognises that the power of the police is derived from the support and cooperation of the public. Operational independence ensures that the police can carry out their duties without partiality or undue influence, political or otherwise. And the Office of Constable embodies the idea that every officer is a member of the public who holds a position of trust and authority granted by the community. Our model of policing has stood the test of time. It's proved itself time and time again. For example, the police are faced with making difficult decisions that balance the rights of people with opposing views. Protest is a great example. They are, and excuse the pun, the piggies in the middle. It's a formidable task. They are criticised by politicians and people on this side for being too soft, and they are criticised by politicians and people on this side for being too tough. In the face of this, our model and the resolve of us officers to act without fear and favour ensures they consider the best interests of all our communities. The vast majority of police officers are dedicated to public service. This year, as last, I have been struck by the professionalism, dedication, compassion, and bravery shown by the vast majority of the British police, in circumstances that most people are lucky never have to confront in their own lives. I was a police officer for 36 years. I am incredibly proud to have been so. Policing is a vocation. Policing is a job like no other. The starting salary for a police officer is £28,000. Long hours, late nights, early mornings, frequently abused, frequently spat at, frequently assaulted. Despite that, they still turn up the next day to work to serve the public. Most of the time, when there are failures for victims, it is not because of a willingness or a lack of willingness to act. It's because of a failure of processes, systems, resources, or leadership. The police, and it's been said already, frequently run towards danger when everybody else runs away. I am exceptionally proud to be a judge for the National Police Bravery Awards. I see the immense personal bravery to keep you, the public, safe. Running into burning buildings, wading into deep water, tackling armed offenders, often when unarmed themselves. What is the common thread? The common thread is their willingness to put themselves in harm's way to protect you, to keep the public safe. Sometimes, as has been mentioned, officers make the ultimate sacrifice. In August 2023, Sergeant Graham Saville of Nottinghamshire Police gave his life in the line of duty to try and save a distressed man on a train track. And he's not alone. Since the first salaried constables were introduced, over 4,000 officers have died on duty. 4,000. I ask you a simple question. Could you do their job? Would you do their job? They're certainly not doing it for £28,000 a year. Can we really doubt their service to the public? Finally, I must of course mention the immeasurable difference they make in keeping our communities safe. Despite all that needs to improve, and things do need to improve, England and Wales are relatively safe, and safer than they've been for many years. The police are good at preventing crime. In our inspections, it is the highest ranked area of inspection. The success of the police should be judged by the absence of crime, not the visible evidence of police action. But most of the time, the police don't get credit for stopping the bad things happening. They really should do. Of course, crime still happens. And we turn to the police when it does. Every year, 15 million people call for help. When the worst thing in your life has happened to you, when maybe other agencies have let you down, when you feel that you have nowhere else to turn to, it is the police you will call, and they will come. They might not come as quickly as you would like them to on occasion because the demands that are placed on policing, but they will come. Because they are driven by public service and they are driven by a culture of just getting things done. Can you imagine a world where they weren't there for us? Lawlessness would reign. The vulnerable would be defenseless. This country would fall apart. The police are the glue in our society. So I will conclude Trust is built up in drops, and it's tipped away in buckets. Considering the events of recent years, I can understand anyone who says they've lost faith or trust in the police. The police must continue to improve, and I will be vocal in challenging them to do so. But to say the police do not serve the people is not just a step too far. It is a massive leap too far. British policing is built upon nothing but public service. Our model of policing remains the best in the world. The workforce is truly dedicated and brave. When you leave here tonight, it's the police who will keep you safe on the streets. And whilst you sleep, it is the police who will keep you safe in your beds. So, I beseech you to remember that yes, in an imperfect world, the police are also imperfect. But they are simply the public in uniform who 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, dedicate themselves, despite the dangers that they face, to serving and protecting the public. This House has the opportunity to recognise their selfless service, and I urge you to vote against this proposition. Thank you.